This video is about growing on YouTube. Um, First of all, I've been on YouTube probably since it started. Just kind of loving the videos, watching the videos, playing a part in the comments, and kind of being in endless communities. And I just love everything about YouTube itself. The idea that you can just kind of put yourself out there in a way that just connects with people and allows you to just build an audience around the things that just light you up and make you laugh, and kind of widen your horizons and your scopes. Like, to me, it is elite. It's elite. And I'm on, like, I don't want to say all the other social media platforms, but this one just feels different, man. It's just so connected to the idea that you can just be yourself, and that's enough, which is one of my biggest drivers, man. I've always been like this guy who's just super, not always, but since I was a kid, just super driven by just passion and freedom. And I just find it to be like the place for me. Like, when I'm not doing anything around the house, or I'm not focused on things business wise, like, I'll be on YouTube just kind of just going down the rabbit holes. And that's been like a double-edged sword for me in a lot of ways, because I'm a creative. I've been calling myself a multi-hyphenate creative, but really I'm just curious about every goddamn thing there is. I'm just super curious, like, I want to know how it works. I want to go down the rabbit holes of video games. I want to know how the website was designed, or how someone thought about their logo development, or video production, or cinematography, cameras, lenses. Like, I can just immerse myself in YouTube world for like ever. I love it. But where I've massively failed in many ways is around like creating that for myself, just like creating this environment for myself where I can do that. Because usually I'm just kind of participating in other people's stuff, which I love, by the way. I do love that. It's amazing to me. But I think there's still just like this missing piece, because, like I said, I've been on YouTube for a long time, not really as a participant, like not as a creator, even though I am a creative. I went to school for design. I went to school for multimedia. I learned about cinematography and branding and marketing. I'm very, very knowledgeable in those things. In fact, most people might consider me an expert at doing those things. And I've helped many people, craft their brands and craft their personas online. But I think for me, there's probably a degree of shame, because it's like I haven't done that for myself. And there's always this weird trade that if you don't do it, that time never comes back. It just never comes back. It never quite fits the same anymore, especially with a person like me, because I'm not even the same person that I set out to be 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, completely different person. So I have to embrace the whatever that I feel like I am, or represents me best right now. Now I have to do it now, So anyways, so there are 5 things that I am doing differently. Let me rephrase my language. There are 5 things that I'm starting to do differently. I'm committed to doing differently to grow my YouTube channel, not only just for myself personally, but also like I just feel like it's the right fit for me, like community-wise. Like, I feel like I'm of that community, but I want to be a creator in it, not just like creating stuff outside of it. It's not really a part of the one that I desire to be a part of. So the first thing that I'm doing to kind of revise how I've been participating in YouTube is to stop trying to get it perfect. I am terrible at that. I'm a Virgo. I'm always like paying attention to like the smallest little details. Like, you can even see like this is not a pretend neon. I mean, like, this is like a massive neon. Like, I've always kind of been like really particular about how it needs to look and how it needs to feel, and what's the camera gear and what's the aperture and the microphone, and like all these things. But they really just kind of get in the way, like, if you're not, and I'm knowledgeable about these things, like I know how to use them, and I already have them because I've been acquiring them over time, I guess, just preparing for this moment, I guess. But they just kind of get in the way, and there's like an unlimited amount of things that can be a detractor, that just kind of messes it up. So as a new practice, what I'm doing is not like, I'm working on not having to be perfect in how I say things, not having to be perfect in terms of like how much I'm going to edit it or not. Like, I don't want to do that. I just think it just kind of ruins what it means to be here, and I think it's really harmed me. It's harmed me. Now, there are a lot of ways being on YouTube has helped me a ton. Like, I've learned a ton. I'm a YouTube University alumni for sure, but like I said, there's some missing components, and I just don't want that to continue on, which I guess leads me to my second thing that I'm doing that's a new thing. And if you can hear the grass cutting outside, I'm sorry. I'm gonna just add that to the list of not making this perfect, okay? So the second thing I'm doing is I'm going to stop comparing my progress with others. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely robbed me in terms of like my joy and things like that. And when generally, like, I don't do that from a personal level. I will often do that from like a professional level, because there's things that I've gotten involved with over time where I just feel like my creative knowledge and expertise has really gone to the betterment of the people that I care about. And I'm happy that I've done that, and I'm always happy to see people like soar, especially if I was like able to help them in a difficult time. It made a difference for them. They're now in a better place than they were. Like, that's amazing, like that's an awesome thing. I would never change how I feel about that, but I will say that it doesn't feel as good if you don't do that also for yourself. Like, if you want to create a business, or you want to work on a creative project, or you want to do it just doesn't feel as good if you're not serving yourself with the same level of like velocity, care, compassion, empathy that you would other people, which I've done a ton. I've done it a ton, like everything from helping people build websites to logos and naming their brands and marketing campaigns and all this stuff. And it's like, I want them to crush it. But I can't leave myself outside of that anymore. It just doesn't, it feels incongruent. And I know that there's like a big difference between like an expert or an influencer, but those lines are really blurring, man. It doesn't really it makes a difference. It makes a difference for a lot of reasons. One is that you can be as good as you want about anything, but if people don't really know, it doesn't matter as much. Like, you're not going to get the same opportunities. You're not going to get the same platforms. You're not going to make as much money. People aren't going to be as invested in what you can do, even if you are clear that you can solve like really high value problems for them. So it definitely matters, that your platform or your level of awareness matches your level of expertise. Because if you don't have that, you're just going to be perceived as not as good as you really are. And maybe you're not as good as you think you are, right? And that's a different problem, I think. But one way or the other, it doesn't really matter. You need to give yourself the same level of attention, and that's what I'm working on. I'm working on giving myself the same level of an intention and attention that I would give to other people, just by sake of being in my network or me just caring about them. So that is the second thing that I'm doing, is I'm gonna stop really comparing my progress with anyone else's. The third thing I'm doing is I'm gonna stop being a spectator. You know, as I mentioned earlier, like I've been on YouTube a long time, and I really love all the content. I'll probably just do that forever. Like, just go down as many rabbit holes as I can climb, and be a spectator. But now I'm being a participant. You know, I'm now showing up as vulnerable as I can muster up, and I don't know that that is my strong suit per se. Like, I don't know if that's like the strongest way that I show up, is like being vulnerable. But I am very comfortable being real. I'm very comfortable saying like how I feel about something, what I think about it, what I failed at, and how I, you know, screwed it up. Like, I don't feel like I have a lot of apprehension towards being real in that way. And so that's a muscle I'm going to be working, is like, how can I just kind of remove all the layers that I can that would stop someone from being able to connect with me and see me online and get a sense that they can know me, or they can, you know? So my goal really here is to bring like a real honest, vulnerable, true expression of who I am and what I want to do. So that's number 3. Number 4 is to start asking for help. And that is that's brutal, man. That is brutal. Asking for help. Yeah, I need help, guys. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I actually recently posted on my Facebook saying like, hey, if anyone's really good at YouTube, can you help me figure this out? Like, oh, and you know, barely anyone responded. I don't even know if anyone responded, but like, and that felt kind of super disappointing, man, because I actually have a lot of friends that have crushed it on YouTube. I mean, crushed it. Hundreds of thousands of subscribers, millions of subscribers, and I have done things for them, and I would do things for them outside of that has added to that progress, you know? So it feels particularly like despicable to me. Like, I hate it, but it doesn't matter. I actually just need the help, and I can make sense of like the technical things, and I can make sense of like the strategy things and all that. But I don't really think it's just down to that. I think in a lot of ways it probably comes down to just encouragement, you know, maybe some degree of like accountability, of just putting stuff out there, just having conversations, just being with people in this format, you know, because I do it in other ways, but I'm not doing it in this way. And I just feel like it's important. And to add to this, by the way, I had it in my head, and you can see if you ever look at my channel, that I was going to build up a YouTube channel. This might be my 4th or 5th try. Seriously. I just haven't been consistent with it, because in the early stages, like when you're trying to grow and you're trying to do something with it, nobody cares. No one's listening. There's no views. And it is a very difficult thing to like endure. And you know, I'm not afraid of difficult things, but to my point earlier, like, there is a trade. You know, I'm a dad, I run a business. There's all these trades. So if you're not really getting clear on like what the value of what you're sharing is, or if even people perceive that as valuable, you know, I've stepped away and just went to what I've always done and what I've always known. And I just know that that's a mistake. Most recent time I tried to build a channel was probably in 2016. I have tons of friends that have blown up like since that time. Crazy. And for me, it's just really, really disappointing, because I had the sense then. I think I've been on YouTube, seriously, legit, 2007. Maybe 2008. but I'm pretty sure it was 2007. And that's embarrassing, man. It's embarrassing when you look at like your progress here. So, I'm really committed to transforming that. And that for me just means like showing up, having conversations. My hope is that during this growth process, not only do I grow the channel, but then like I build the right relationships. I'm able to share the things that I'm really, really good at that could be helpful to people. But I'm very clear that no one is going to get that message unless I put it out there, essentially. And the fifth thing that I'm doing to grow my channel is really just about filming. Just start filming, have real conversations, show up and talk and let people know what I'm struggling with or how I'm feeling about it. It's just filming. And once again, like, because I went to school for multimedia, like I have, I think, the most appropriate skill set to actually do amazing things on YouTube. Because when I was in school years ago, mind you, I learned editing, learned how to, use cameras of all sorts. I learned how to storyboard. I learned writing techniques. All this stuff, all this stuff that people, that would be like a massive learning curve for people. I didn't have that, which makes it even more embarrassing. Most people are like, I don't know what that microphone does, or I don't know how to hook it up, or what's that cord called? And I know that stuff. I know how an interface works. I know how, how to light things properly and appropriately. And by the way, when I say embarrassing, it's not really like embarrassing to me. At least, let me rephrase that. It's not embarrassing for other people. Like, I'm not embarrassed that other people would see it a particular way. I'm embarrassed that for myself, I would come to the table with all these skills, all this knowledge, all the gear. I have multiple interfaces. I have probably 10 XLR cords, lighting of all sorts, shotgun mics. I have lavalier mics. Like, I'm going to show you. Ow, just knocked my head off the light. But, okay. Right here. Let me see if I can show you. I've got a case that's like pro lavaliers and everything like that. Like, I can go 300 feet with this. I'm filming right now on a cinema camera. I'm filming on a cinema camera for YouTube video. I use it as a webcam to do meetings with. So when I say it's embarrassing, I'm just saying that, like, I don't like how I've supported myself with the way that I've showed up on this, and that's embarrassing to me. Like, I think that and maybe this is a part of, like, what was it, number 2? Comparing and judgment, but, like, maybe this is a part of that too. Like, I just think that I should be much farther along, and I'm not getting any younger. I just turned 44, so I'm like I'm a Gen X YouTube creator who's been on YouTube forever, but technically I'm new. Technically I'm new. So treat me like I'm new. Treat me like I'm new. I'm just saying I've had all the tools, and I've got, I think, the appropriate, like, mindset and things to kind of just show up. So here's my bona fide effort to show up week to week and get better at being on film or camera, get better at just kind of sharing things that would be of value to you, and sharing things that I'm just even thinking and feeling, not judging it, not doing crazy edits or things like that would just kind of get in the way and reduce the time that it takes me to produce something, I'm just looking to remove distractions, you know, whether that's like a personal distraction, emotional distraction, whatever it is, and just kind of get it out of the way. So that's what I'm doing, you know, and I hope that you'll join me on the journey of legitimately growing on YouTube and not backing out because I'm busy or I don't see any growth or maybe people aren't really receiving it yet. They will.